Well, as I head down the home stretch, it's greatly encouraging to note that clean energy has really made a great impact on Minnesota and even more for the future. 25% now of Minnesota's energy comes from renewable sources, and some of the pioneers who are responsible for that are here today. It's really exciting. Almost over 57,000 Minnesotans are now working in the clean energy economy, and the spin-off effect of that is a multiple. The jobs are growing there, and they expect to add another 2,700 jobs next year. So it continues to flourish despite some of the obstacles that have been put in their way. The legislature will have an opportunity next year. We reached the renewable energy standard 7 years early, and I had proposed extending that further in 2017, which is not acted upon by the legislature, but so I will urge the legislature next year and the next administration to advance this mark and continue to push to make Minnesota a coal-free state as soon as possible. With that, Gregg Mast is going to MC the presentations. Welcome, Gregg.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Gregg Mast, and I am the Executive Director of Clean Energy Economy Minnesota. As an industry-led nonprofit organization, we work statewide to strengthen Minnesota's fast-growing clean energy business ecosystem. We focus on educating stakeholders on the business case and economic opportunities provided by energy efficiency and clean energy in order to increase and enhance Minnesota's competitive position when it comes to retaining, growing, and attracting clean energy jobs and investment. Thank you all for being on hand this morning, and we are pleased and excited to release this year's clean energy jobs numbers for Minnesota as part of Clean Jobs Midwest, a comprehensive survey of clean energy employment across the 12-state Midwest region. I'd also like to extend a very special thank you to Governor Dayton and Commissioner Hardy for being with us this morning, along with our business leaders who have gathered to share with all of you how clean energy jobs are powering Minnesota's economy forward. This year's report takes an in-depth look at clean energy jobs across 5 sectors of our clean energy economy. This includes energy efficiency, renewable energy generation, advanced grid, advanced transportation, and clean fuels. I'm thrilled to share that Minnesota once again was a bright spot in the Midwest with over 59,000 clean energy jobs in existence today. This represents an increase of over 1,500 jobs or 2.6% growth from 2016 to the end of 2017. Jobs in clean energy grew 2 times faster than overall job growth in the state. Clean energy jobs in Minnesota also grew second fastest among the 12-state Midwest region, and clean energy employers are projecting to add 2,700 jobs in the next year, a growth rate of 4.6%. Nearly 45,000, or 3/4 of all clean energy jobs, are in the energy efficiency sector. This continues to represent the largest share of the state's clean energy workforce, with 7 out of every 10 jobs in energy efficiency. In addition, 40% of clean energy jobs are located throughout greater Minnesota. This is important because it means that the entire state is benefiting from our clean energy economy. These are family-sustaining jobs, paying nearly 42% higher than the statewide average. Minnesota's renewable energy generation sector, which includes jobs in solar, wind, geothermal, and bioenergy, experienced the fastest growth among all of the sectors, growing at 16.5% over the past year. This was also the highest annual growth rate in the Midwest. The report also found that small businesses are driving the state's clean energy sector, with 74% of clean energy businesses employing 20 employees or less. While Minnesota was able to buck the broader trend that saw overall clean energy jobs decrease by 1.2% across the Midwest, the findings from this year's report also identified 2 primary factors that limited the state's clean energy job growth. One of these was uncertainty surrounding federal policy, which directly impacts the ability for companies to invest with confidence into their people and their businesses. Another was the growing challenge when it comes to hiring qualified employees. This year's report found that over 85% of Minnesota's clean energy businesses reported difficulty hiring, and 39% said hiring was very difficult. Keeping this in mind, there is no question that continued policy leadership that prioritizes the rapid transition to a clean, affordable, and reliable energy system will be critical to unlock further job growth and increase prosperity for all Minnesotans. Tremendous progress has been made in diversifying the state's energy system, with 25% of our electricity today being generated from renewable sources of energy, all while keeping costs low. However, significant work remains to transform not only our electricity sector to cleaner and more sustainable forms of energy, but also other areas of our economy, like transportation, agriculture, and eliminating waste from our homes and our businesses. So in closing, as this year's report has found, clean energy is propelling Minnesota's economy forward. It is proof that smart energy policies, coupled with the ingenuity of our clean energy business community, delivers jobs and economic growth. With continued leadership, Minnesota will remain a hotbed for cutting-edge clean energy innovation and will be able to capture the economic benefits provided by energy efficiency and clean energy. It is my hope that we can continue to add jobs to our clean energy workforce and that one day soon we will top over 100,000 clean energy workers across the state. It's now my pleasure to introduce Eric Posse from IPS Solar to share some remarks.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Greetings. My name is Eric Posse, and I'm the Chief Development Officer for IPS Solar. We're headquartered in Roseville, Minnesota. And many thanks to Clean Energy Economy and Governor Dayton for continuing to support solar power across the state. And when I heard this week was formally proclaimed Wind Week in Minnesota, I didn't take offense, even though some solar employs twice as many people now as wind in the state. And, but I'm looking forward to September, which I hear might be Minnesota Solar Month. If you can get that, that would be great. It's a rumor.
You only get a week, you get a month?
Yeah, that's right.
We gotta even this up here. Right? Somebody into that one.
IPS Solar develops and installs commercial solar projects across the Midwest. Just 6 years ago, we employed 4 people, and now we employ more than 40. Since the 2013 Solar Jobs Act, which you signed into law, Governor, IPS has grown by more than 800% and was recently recognized as the state's fastest growing company by Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. Community solar is a big part of our business. The state now has more community solar than the rest of the country combined. Residents and organizations can now participate in solar without having panels on their roof, and there's no denying the program's success. As Greg mentioned, 74% of clean energy businesses in Minnesota have 20 employees or less, and these small businesses are the economic engine of our industry. We look forward to continued support from state legislators, specifically for energy storage in the next session, which is Clean Power's next frontier. As a 27-year-old company, our founder, Ralph Jacobson, is here today. I've been with IPS for over 10 years. We know a lot about staying power. And with more smart policy, we'll be here for decades to come. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Kevin Ballum with Train.
Thank you, Eric. Good morning. Buildings around the world consume 47% of the world's electricity. And this represents the single largest opportunity for clean energy to impact the world that we live in. I'm Kevin Ballum. I'm Vice President of Services for Train Company. Train is a part of Ingersoll Rand Corporation, and we're a world leader in building energy services. 75% of the jobs represented in the Clean Energy Jobs Report that's being released today are in the energy efficiency sector, and Train is considered a global leader in this area. Train has 2 key locations in the Minnesota area. We have our sales and service office for the area that's located in St. Paul, and our global headquarters for our train controls and energy management business that's been serving customers for more than 40 years in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. As a company, we have over 1,000 employees located across Minnesota, with the majority of them being engineers and professionals that are focused on innovation and finding new solutions for building energy solutions. We invest in talent and technology to focus on reducing the energy intensity of the world. Having buildings consuming half of the world's electricity creates a great opportunity for our employees to find new innovation and new ways to improve energy efficiency. We do this by being connected to over 11,000 different buildings from around the globe, where we're pulling data from those buildings 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. With that data, we're able to provide solutions to the building's owners on how they can better improve their energy profile and the operation of their building. Beyond that, we're able to recommend whole new solutions such as energy storage, thermal storage, or renewable energies like the gentlemen that are joining me here today. Our customers include schools, hospitals, office buildings, government buildings, data centers. All of these are great customers and all interested in understanding how to improve their energy profile. We have the expertise to apply the solutions we generate through the 3,000 technicians we have scattered across North America that go into buildings every day to improve their energy efficiency. While we operate a global business out of White Bear Lake, we've also had a very significant impact right here in Minnesota. The Science Museum of Minnesota right here in St. Paul is a great example of us working with the customer to find new solutions that can be implemented within a building that bring sustainability for that building and immediate energy savings moving ahead. We host over 100 different building owners from around the world that come in and design whole new solutions for their buildings that are focused on sustainability. And in addition to that, we hire over 100 new engineers every year that spend 18 weeks in White Bear Lake learning the science of energy efficiency and how to apply it to buildings. This energy efficiency area is growing at a double-digit rate across the United States today. We're a business that's been recognized by our leadership in this area by the United States Department of Energy, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, and other leaders that signal that Trane can provide solutions for any building in the area of sustainability. We'd love the opportunity to introduce any of you to our location up in White Bear Lake if you'd be interested. Today's Clean Energy Jobs Report demonstrates the importance of this field to the economy of Minnesota. Energy efficiency alone represents 75% of the jobs in today's report, and Trane's excited to be a recognized leader and focused on continuing to grow this area and better serve this field in Minnesota for years to come. Thank you for the opportunity. And at this point, I'd like to introduce Stephen Jones.
Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Stephen Jones. I work for Blattner Energy. I'm the vice president of our solar division there. Blattner Energy, located out of Avon, Minnesota, is 110 years old. And being a bedroom community of the St. Cloud metro area, I've ran into many people over the years that really don't even know who we are. But Blattner is a company that is providing a significant amount of jobs in the renewable energy workforce in the industry today. Not only do we employ hundreds of Minnesotans, but we employ over 6,000 people nationwide. Because we work in the wind, solar, and the energy storage industry, we would like to be here inviting you all to and encourage more people to get into this industry. There's plenty of jobs. And again, what the message that I would like to send is that the diversity that's available today in terms of jobs is a lot different than it was 20 years ago when Blattner first got into the renewable energy industry. Back then, it was engineers, it was manufacturing, it was contractors building these projects. Today, it's technology-driven, it's business-driven. There's a whole bigger picture of jobs available in this industry that we need more and more people to fill. And so one of the messages that, that we want to leave everyone here in support of clean energy economy here in Minnesota is that the diversity that's available in terms of jobs is I think should be recognized. One of the other things that we're seeing in the industry that we think is really important is people are getting into the industry with less skills. And one of the advocacy efforts that we really want others to embrace is getting more people into the trades. And again, the jobs and the availability there it's there. And what we're seeing is the trend of people coming into the industry with less skills. And so we do employ everyone outside, whether it's the government, the school systems, VOTEX, trade schools, things of that nature. We really ask that we make an effort to put more emphasis on encouraging people to get into the trades. They're good paying jobs. Renewable energy offers great paying jobs. They offer great incomes, and families all over the country certainly benefit from that. So again, thank you for your time, Governor Dayton and all constituents for supporting a clean energy economy.
Good morning. Shawntera Hardy, Commissioner at the Department of Employment and Economic Development. Thank you all for being here today. And thank you, Governor, for your leadership in this area. We are here today because of smart policies and smart investment in our economy overall and specifically in this area. And thank you, Greg, and your team and businesses like you all that are making the investment and taking those policies to the next level. Minnesota's economy is strong because we have investment in so many different industries, and the clean energy economy touches all of our industries. And to be able to see the growth over the last year has been tremendous, outpacing all of the areas in our economy, and we should be proud of that. You know, we are continuously learning. We're continuously challenging ourselves to meet our energy goals while we're leading, and that's fantastic. And we need to make sure that we continue to invest in smart policies, to put the resources forward to make sure that these companies have the talent that they need and that we are able to continue to be leaders. Because the clean energy economy is good for the economy and good for the environment. And that's something that we should all strive to make sure is a part of our strong economy plan. And so I'm very grateful for the work to put this report out, and really looking forward to continuing to move policy forward that invest in this part of our economy. So thank you all.
Greg, you want to bring your team here to respond to questions on this subject, and then throw it open to the rest?
I think our business leaders are happy to take any questions that you all may have regarding the kind of perspective that they have on the markets, and also I would be happy to address any questions specific to the report if you have any at this time.
Can you talk a little bit about clean energy jobs in greater Minnesota? There's reference here in the press release to St. Cloud and Duluth and some of the other areas, but where are the jobs concentrated? Where are the biggest growth areas in Minnesota, even beyond the MSAs like Duluth and St. Cloud? Can you address that for us?
Right, so this year's report did find that there's been some significant increase in jobs throughout greater Minnesota. And so the report references that now over 40,000 clean energy jobs exist in greater Minnesota. And this is a significant increase over last year. And the areas include St. Cloud as well as Duluth. And then we're continuing to see fast growth throughout central and southern Minnesota, and then Rochester area in southeast as well. So this is touching on all areas of Minnesota, and I think that to the credit of many of the businesses here who have been part of all of the developments of distributed energy resources across the state, as well as the strong policy, we're seeing these benefits spread to all Minnesotans, whether it's through low-cost energy, in addition to landowner payments tax revenues to local counties and townships through the development of solar and wind, for example. These are benefits that, again, this report is proof that we're seeing this really spread across the state.
If I can follow up on the jobs aspect, how you're trying to recruit and get people into this industry, what kind of skill sets are you looking for right now? Where are the deficits? You talked about the trades in skilled work. I got to believe that you're also needing people with business backgrounds and marketing and everything else.
I'll perhaps let one of the company leaders talk about that from kind of their perspectives as far as talent, workforce.
Sure. No, you're absolutely correct. Not only is it trades, but it's the technology that the technology is growing and developing within the renewable industry faster than most people likely know. And with that, you need a lot more IT backgrounds. You need more technology-driven background. You need business. You need to understand finance. You know, this is a business, and it's a good business. And so not only trades, you know, what we're seeing is that even the trades, you know, the craft workers generally coming into the trade, they don't have some of those basic skills that maybe a lot of us got in shop class in high school. And we're seeing some of those deficiencies. And of course, the building trades and Blattner and lots of others, we're trying to really train and develop those individuals. And they can grow. I get excited within our company about the fact that we watch somebody come in at the trade level and grow through multiple levels to you know, a position that they never even imagined. So those are the things that this industry needs. It's a real industry, and again, I ask us all to help.
A lot of you have mentioned strong policies that encourage clean energy growth, and I wanted to push back a little bit, because there's lawmakers who think that, hey, the price of clean energy has come down so much, we don't need more policies to encourage it. So could somebody talk about, if more policy is needed, what specifically it is, and give some reasons for why we need that policy?
Sure, I'd be happy to share some of our perspective from Clean Energy Economy in Minnesota. And in working with all of our business members, I think that first and foremost, what we want to continue to see is certainty around where and how is energy policy going to help to continue to support this fantastic job growth that we're seeing across the state. And so businesses rely on that certainty within policy in order to inform those long-term planning decisions when it comes to hiring, when it comes to placing big investments into the state. And so Minnesota has a long history of being a leader in sending those strong policy and market signals so that companies like we have here today are able to go and do what they do best, and that's get these jobs done with the best people available. And as we think about where Minnesota's at, we have 25% of all of our electricity being generated with renewable energy today. I think that we have leadership within our utilities here in Minnesota who are looking to move aggressively up, like past that. In addition, we need to have that continued partnership with all of our clean energy businesses along with those utilities in looking at those areas of opportunity. And so we've worked on legislation around strengthening and growing the market opportunities around energy storage. We see that as being real key to, again, sending the signal to the marketplace across the country that Minnesota is the place to come for energy storage. And so we're working very hard with a number of partners, many of them are in the room today, on moving forward energy storage. And that is a shared bipartisan effort. And so we're looking at other ways that we can continue to increase the opportunities for energy efficiency, which is the largest portion of where the jobs are at in our clean energy economy. And so eliminating energy waste, increasing energy productivity, we're seeing that we've been successful in decoupling our growth of the economy with GDP from a decrease in emissions. We can go further and faster. And so those are other ways that we're looking at how can we increase the opportunities for energy efficiency, whereby we are squeezing out all of that energy that is wasted. And I don't want to put Kevin on the spot, but perhaps he can talk just a bit about that from a company perspective.
I mean, energy efficiency is the ideal opportunity, and there are so many buildings across Minnesota that face a tough choice. Should I invest in some aspect of my business that might grow my sales, or do I want to invest in helping improve the performance of the building I'm operating within? Most businesses rely on incentives that are government-based, either at a local basis or at a federal basis, to help make those decisions, to make those investments, oftentimes into the whole area of renewables. There was a mention about how important energy storage is. That really is the breaking field that is really quickly coming to the surface. And energy storage isn't just batteries. Energy storage can be thermal storage. We have solutions where you store the energy you need literally in ice. And then that ice is used during the day to be your source of energy to provide cooling in a building. And so energy storage is a field that needs incentives to continue to grow, but also the opportunity to open it up to more people and make it more accessible moving ahead. Because a lot of buildings have a ton of opportunity, but they need the incentives to actually make it happen.
Governor, the men and women who are vying to succeed you here, debating, and they're probably ending right about now in Farm Fest. And one of the things that was discussed, one of the candidates, you can probably guess which one, talked about, well, let's have open markets and not mandates in terms of energy. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think the Minnesota's renewable energy standard was, set a great foundation for these advances. Obviously, the entrepreneurs here are the ones who deserve the credit for the job creation. But as was said, Minnesota's stating its commitment not just for this year, but for the next 7 years, the next 20 years. I think sets a very good template for what's developing and what needs to continue.
Thank you.
So we'll open other questions, and if you have your own
Governor, can we keep Commissioner Hardy for one question?
I don't know. Do you have a question?
Is there a choice?
It's over here. It's to both of you. I'd like both of you to react. Public record media is suing Deed for disclosure of the Amazon bid. Deed's response to that has been, we don't have it, we never had it, it's not in our possession. The question then becomes, is it a good way for the state to be doing business to have government data in the hands of a private entity that can't be turned over for whatever reason? And Governor, would you encourage the commissioner to turn that data over?
So with respect to your question, all of the public data related to the proposal, all of the workforce data, all of the information related to the legislative leaders and our state commitment to that proposal was released to the public.
They want the bid itself. They want to know what incentives were promised or not promised to Amazon.
Greater MSP does not have oversight over any state incentives. Any incentives or any programs that are offered from a state's perspective were in the leader's letter that was released to the public.
So you're saying they turned over the bid?
I'm saying that with respect to any incentives, to your question, that were offered, which we didn't offer any, there was a legislative letter signed by all the leaders, including the governor, that laid out the state's commitment, and that letter has been released. All public data related to the state of Minnesota's participation, and that process was released.
Well, why not allow people to check your work on that and turn over the actual bid?
All information related to the state's information was provided and has been provided. Any documentation that supplements that information has been provided to anyone who has requested that information.
Do you have a response to that, Governor?
Well, I just second what the commissioner said. I think she answered it very well. The public data was provided, and when we work in a partnership with a private entity, then they have their own rules and procedures, and we need to have those two operate in tandem, but separately, and we don't control Greater MSP, and they don't, as the commission said, don't control the state. So we provided what was in our domain, and they had to make their own. They made their own decision regarding what was in their domain.
Is that a way for government to be doing business?
Well, if we're going to work with the private sector, we have to. We have a number of businesses that are in various stages of looking for expansion or location here, and they have their their own requirements in terms of confidentiality and not providing the like. So if we're going to work with those entities, we can't dictate the terms or they won't participate with us.
Thank you, Commissioner. Governor, you sent letters to the President today, the White House requesting disaster relief. So could you elaborate on that a little bit, please, and what specifically you're asking for, and maybe how much that will help those areas that were.
Well, FEMA was very responsive. When I expressed our appreciation there, they came in on a very timely basis and did the survey with our emergency services personnel, and 36 of the 37 counties, which we designated or requested emergency designations, were all approved, the exception being Caneva County. And that's where the state program is so vitally important. In a situation like that where they have significant damages but just under the threshold, they'll now be eligible for the state emergency assistance funds, which the legislature set up just a couple of years ago. The others will be then eligible, assuming the president approves this, for the FEMA funding, which is 75% of most public infrastructure repair and projects, not improvement, but repair. And so that money and that process will begin once the president makes his declaration, and that makes a huge difference. We had townships in the area when I visited whose repair on county roads was greater than their annual operating budget. So, this is overwhelming given the magnitude of the damage that was done. I've never seen flooding like that all over in such a widespread and disparate area of the state. But having the resources from the federal government to step in and assist, the other 25% in that situation is paid for by the state. So it really relieves the other incidental expenses that local governments are not off the hook entirely, but it makes it possible for them to rebuild and recover.
Governor, I know that the FEMA assessors did kind of a preliminary assessment of individual damage to businesses and homes as well. Are you going to request that they come back then with the idea perhaps of requesting some form of individual assistance from the federal government?
Well, I don't know the particulars of what's still needed. Their assessment was preliminary because they're still calculating the damages. They're still waiting some areas for the waters to recede. So I think they did what they could on a timely basis. Individual businesses are not covered they need to be covered by their own private insurance, so they can apply to the Small Business Administration. But FEMA provides 15% overage for the recovery costs that goes then at the state's emergency services discretion to various local needs. There'll be a strong demand for that percent. It won't be enough to cover everything, but that'll be a way we can follow up with specific instances of severe hardship.
So you would anticipate potentially some assistance to individuals and our businesses?
I'm not going to say that because that's not the program. The program, FEMA and the state, is designed for public infrastructure replacements. Individuals assumed, whether it's commercial or residential, is assumed to be the responsibility of the owner and to carry insurance. And something of this magnitude and areas that have not been flooded for decades, if ever, there are people who tragically, don't have insurance and suffered severe losses. So we'll look for whatever ways we can. The county emergency assistance people are the first responders to those situations, and we will in turn do whatever we possibly can. I was in Mandalia yesterday, which was devastated by a fire 2.5 years ago, and it was just really exciting to see the way people all pulled together, and individual businesses, I don't say individual residences, but individual businesses were assisted by others, and they all pulled together. That synergy was such that they've totally revitalized their downtown, and before and after pictures, they're just dramatic changes. And so, it takes that kind of concerted effort, and, over a period of time. It's not going to happen next month, but it will happen if people put their shoulders to the wheel, and I think they will in these communities, and the state and the federal government will assist financially in doing so.
Governor, the health department says it's cleared the backlog of elder abuse complaints. How do you feel about that?
So very good. And I give Commissioner Malcolm and her staff great credit for what they've accomplished. And I thank Commissioner Piper and the DHS technical staff who came in and assisted with that effort. But I think that's the way it should have been all along. But the fact that they eliminated a backlog of 3,000 was really, really impressive. And I hope they get deserved credit for that.
Do you have regrets, though, that more wasn't accomplished this past session to further address that issue?
Yeah, I have lots of regrets about the last session, and more that was not accomplished, and that would certainly be part of it. But again, I think they showed that they're able to take the initiative on their own. Now the question is what's needs to be done, staffing and procedurally to continue that excellent, clean record.
Governor, there was a really tough story in The Intercept yesterday about the Attorney General that accused, quoted 8 people unnamed, saying that the office has been used, the employees have been required to participate in political work for the Attorney General. I'd like to just point out if you have any comments on that story.
I don't have any comments. I'm not going to have any comments on the campaigns.
Last question?
Thank you.
All right, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Governor.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.